Hey guys, tonight we slip back in time, way back, to a world before written language, before pyramids, before the idea of shoes even existed. You're lying on a slab of stone that smells faintly of burnt marrow and wet moss. Around you, the wind howls like some ancient beast, and smoke from last night's fire still snakes through the cave ceiling's cracks. You're cold, very cold. And not because the Ice Age is being dramatic. Your bedding is made from dried grass and the hide of something you probably ate 2 weeks ago. Your joints ache, your back is stiff, and your hair, well, calling it a hairstyle would be generous. You've slept in soot and sediment. Your nose is stuffed with ash. The cave floor is damp. But you're alive. You're a Neanderthal. And this? This is your spa day? So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you're feeling sociable, drop your location and what time it is where you're watching. Always fun to see where the tribe's tuning in from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You push yourself upright with a grunt that sounds like gravel rolling downhill. Your body's thick, compact, and packed with muscle, like you've been doing CrossFit with mammoths. Every part of you is designed for survival, from your broad nose, great for warming cold air, to your sturdy hands, perfect for cracking bones and hurling spears. But survival doesn't mean skipping hygiene. Welcome to the Ice Age version of a morning routine. First things first, exfoliation. You grab a handful of fine-grained sand and rub it across your arms and chest, brushing off flakes of dead skin, soot, and last night's wood ash. It's scratchy but not unpleasant. Sand is your soap. Sand is your scrub. And surprisingly, it's kind of effective. Nearby, someone grunts approvingly. It's your cousin. His name is basically unpronounceable, but you call him Thok. He's using a flat piece of bone as a scraper, removing grime from his feet with impressive focus. You nod in mutual respect. Self-care is serious business out here. There's no scented candle or relaxing lo-fi playlist. But there is the steady drip of water from the cave ceiling. You cup your hand under it, splash your face, and wince as the icy droplets hit. You're awake now. Let's talk products. Ancient Neanderthal style. Forget coconut oil and bath bombs. Your beauty regimen is made of whatever nature throws at you. Need moisturizer? Animal fat. Got a skin rash? Rub on some crushed moss. Smelling funky? A little pine sap behind the ears, maybe a smear of minty herbs if you're lucky. Your perfume probably doubles as insect repellent. And then there's ochre. Glorious, rusty red ochre. You smear it across your cheeks, not just for style, but maybe for ritual, camouflage, or even sun protection. Historians still argue whether Neanderthals used ochre primarily for symbolic expression or purely practical reasons. Either way, you're glowing, in a dusty cave painting kind of way. Next on the spa menu, dental hygiene. You don't have a toothbrush, obviously, but that doesn't stop you from chewing on the end of a fibrous stick, rubbing it along your gums. The bitter taste might be from the plant's natural antimicrobial properties, or it might just be gross. Either way, your teeth, flat and tough, are surprisingly well kept. In fact, some Neanderthal remains show less tooth decay than modern humans. Must be the low-carb diet. Or, no processed sugar. You reach for your grooming kit. It's not much. Just a piece of flint and a sliver of sharpened shell, but it works. You shave off a tangle of knotted beard hair and trim the edge of your eyebrows. Personal style is subtle, but it's there. A small shell pierced through your ear. A feather tied into a braid. Even in a world ruled by survival, you want to feel you. Someone nearby sneezes loudly. You glance over. Your aunt, yes, Neanderthals had tight family groups, is digging through a pouch made of dried stomach lining. She's looking for something. You shuffle over to help. Inside the pouch, lichen, dried mushrooms, beetle shells, and a tiny nub of charcoal. She nods and hands it to you. It's for drawing on the wall. Not today, though. Today's about self-care, not self-expression. You step outside the cave entrance briefly, just to breathe. The cold slaps you immediately. Your breath steams out in thick puffs. Snow blankets everything in blinding white. A few meters away, an ibex scampers up a ridge. You admire its sheer disregard for gravity. Then your foot crunches on something. It's a fossilized turd. Probably hyena. You step back. Hygiene reminder. Always check before squatting. You return inside and decide it's time for a hot steam. Kind of. There's a fire pit still glowing from last night. You add some fresh twigs and dry moss, blowing gently until the embers catch. Smoke curls up, warming the air. You sit near the edge and let the heat hit your face and chest. Your pores? Probably horrified, but your soul? Cozier than ever. A small skin of fermented berries makes its way around. You take a sip. It tastes like wet bark and regret, but it gives you a gentle buzz. Someone starts humming a low, rhythmic tune. Others join in. It's not words exactly, but it's not music. You sway slightly, eyes half-lidded, heartbeat slowing. It's weirdly beautiful. And just as your mind begins to drift, someone tosses a bone into the fire. It cracks loudly, sending a spark flying. You flinch. Spa day's over. Time to get moving. You gather your gear, stone knife, hide sling, water pouch. As you fasten the rough leather cord around your waist, you catch your reflection in a puddle. Honestly, you look fierce. Dirty, yes, but fierce. Like someone who could wrestle a wolf or argue with a glacier. And while you have no idea what Monday means, something in your bones tells you it's going to be one of those days. Your stomach growls, loudly. The kind of deep primal rumble that could scare off scavengers. You give it a lazy slap and mumble something that probably means soon. Breakfast time in the Ice Age isn't just about nutrition. It's an event. A hunt, a feast, a negotiation with fire and bone. And this morning, you've got your sights set on a slab of reindeer ribs that's been aging, red, half frozen, in the snowpack outside the cave. You and Thok, remember him? The foot-scraping cousin, haul the carcass inside. It's stiff, but still good. The cold preserves everything. Plus, a little freezer burn never hurt anyone who has the digestive system of a garbage disposal crossed with a lion. You start slicing meat from the rib cage with your flint blade. It's not elegant, but it's effective. This knife? Oh, it's your pride and joy. Chipped by hand, sharp as sin, and made from the kind of rock you had to trade 3 bundles of sinew to get. It's seen things, cut things. Saved your butt at least twice. You kiss it before slicing the meat, just once. For luck. Someone starts the fire again while a younger clanmate, probably 15, already built like a bison, tends to the spit. The meat hisses and sizzles as it hits the stone grill. Fat drips into the coals and sends up curls of smoke that smell so good you nearly fall over. Honestly, if Yankee Candle ever makes Neanderthal BBQ, you'd buy 10. As the meat roasts, you crush some wild onions and toss them on top. Fancy, right? You've been foraging, and even though cooking wasn't a huge flex back then, you like adding flair. A few wild herbs, some dried mushrooms, maybe even a little pine ash for that rustic flavor. Your ancestors? Total grill masters, historians. Still argue whether Neanderthals seasoned their food intentionally or just happened to drop random stuff into the fire. You know the truth? It's Flavor Town, Ice Age edition. You chew on a piece of roasted marrow while waiting. It's warm, fatty, and rich. Basically, caveman foie gras. You suck it from the split bone like it owes you rent, licking your fingers clean. Around you, others do the same, and there's something almost holy about it. Not in a religious sense, though let's be honest, fire is a kind of deity here, but in that this moment feels real, whole. Like your tribe could do this forever. A few children crawl into the light, rubbing their eyes. They're handed tiny bits of meat by their mothers, who eat last. As always, there's no breakfast cereal, no orange juice. Just protein. Endless protein. You wonder what modern people would say if they saw this. Probably something about paleo diets and intermittent fasting. You laugh out loud. Suddenly the wind outside shifts. The flames flicker. You pause mid-bite. Something's up. You slip outside and scan the horizon. Movement. Not fast, just deliberate. A group of wild horses, maybe 10 or 12, picking their way through the snowy ridge. You watch in silence, heart picking up pace. They don't see you. Yet. You run back inside. Spears, you grunt, pointing. The others snap into action. Half the meat gets shoved aside. Thought grabs the long, hafted throwing spears and slings them over his back. You grab your own, fitted with an obsidian tip that glints like it knows secrets. The horses are too far for a sprint, but there's a gorge up ahead. If you time it right, the tribe fans out. You sprint through the snow like you were born to do this, and you kinda were. Your legs are short but absurdly powerful. Your lungs burn. Your feet slap down hard. The chase is on. You take position behind a low ridge, breath pluming out like a steam engine. The horses approach, ears twitching, hooves crunching snow. They pause. One snorts, another flicks its tail. You grip your spear tighter. Your fingers are numb, but your brain is on fire. Thok signals. You rise. Throw. The spear arcs through the cold air like a frozen promise. It hits, not fatally, but enough. The horse staggers. You charge, others at your side. Another spear lands. Another. The animal finally goes down, legs folding awkwardly beneath it. There's no cheer, no chest beating, just quiet respect. You kneel and touch the creature's neck. Whisper something to the ground. You're not religious, but you're not either. Life is complicated. You field dress the animal on sight, working fast before predators catch the scent. Liver, kidneys, and heart get packed in hide satchels. The rest gets lashed to a sled and dragged home by 4 of you working together. The horse is heavy, but the idea of smoked horse steak later tonight? Worth every groaning step. Back in the cave, the kids squeal with excitement. They swarm around the kill, poking at the hooves and asking for stories. You oblige, spinning a tale about how the horse tried to leap over the moon and got stuck in a snowstorm instead. It's nonsense, but they love it. Meanwhile, the breakfast fire's been stoked again. Someone saved your reindeer ribs. They're a little charred, but still edible. You sit cross-legged, gnawing the meat like it owes you a favor. The morning light slants through the cave mouth, casting golden stripes across the floor. You eat until your stomach presses against your belt. Then you lie back with a groan, staring at the ceiling, wondering how many mammoths it would take to feed this whole clan for a month. Probably 3, maybe 4, but they're harder to catch than horses, and angrier. The fire crackles beside you. Ash drifts lazily in the air. Thok belches loudly. You belch louder. A child claps. You grin. Tomorrow will be another hunt, another chase. But for now, breakfast was a success. Your belly is full. Your muscles ache in the best way. And even though your world is dangerous, raw, and unforgiving, it also has moments like this. Moments of warmth, laughter, and quiet satisfaction. You scratch your chest, wipe your greasy hands on a bit of hide, and roll over onto your side. You can still smell the meat. Still feel the fire's fading warmth. And just before you drift off into a food coma, you whisper one final thought. Best breakfast ever. You wake up groggy, mouth dry, and fingers still sticky with horse fat. The fire's embers pulse like sleepy eyes in the gloom. But something's off. A low murmur echoes from deeper in the cave, a mix of muffled voices and short, rhythmic chants. That tone? It's serious. You sit up, rub your face, and shuffle toward the sound. Others are already gathered, forming a tight ring around something or someone. You squeeze through the crowd, heart skipping. And there it is. A man, older, bearded, face creased like weathered stone, lies on his side. There's a neat round hole in his skull, not bleeding, already healed. You blink. Wait, is that a hole in his head? Yup. Perfect circle right near the temple. And he's still alive. In fact, he's talking, calmly. You glance around. No one's panicking. Some are nodding. Someone even hands him a piece of smoked elk, like it's nothing. Welcome to Ice Age healthcare. Trepanation. Ancient brain surgery. Because when you don't have aspirin, sometimes the only solution is to drill a hole in someone's skull and just hope that whatever evil spirits or swelling are inside float on out. Historians still argue whether Neanderthals performed trepanation regularly or if these skull holes were caused by trauma after death. But here, right now, you're looking at a live patient, and he's smiling. It wasn't you who did the drilling, thank the glaciers, but you know the basics. First, someone sharpens a piece of flint like a scalpel. Then they scrape. Not cut. Scrape. Slow, methodical, chillingly precise. No metal, no anesthetic. Just courage, bone, and probably a little chewing bark for the pain. You remember watching a similar ritual as a child? The patient back then didn't make it. Too much bleeding, too deep a cut. The healer cried afterward, quietly into a bundle of moss, but they kept trying, and clearly they got better. This guy's a survivor, and kind of a legend. He wears his scar like a badge. You know how modern people flex tattoos or gym gains? Yeah, try flexing. I survived someone scraping open my skull with a rock. He chuckles mid-bite and starts telling a story. Something about being chased by a boar, slipping, and knocking his head so hard he started seeing double. That's when they decided to let the bad air out. A few folks chuckle. One kid gasps. You shiver despite yourself. The healer sits nearby, sharpening her tools. She's older than the fire itself, wrapped in layers of hide and secrets. Her fingers tremble when idle, but become steady as stars when working. She's stitched up broken legs, reset dislocated jaws, even delivered babies in blizzards. She also talks to trees, or at least claims to. You've brought her herbs before. Spongy moss for dressing wounds. Birch bark, rich in salicylic acid, the closest thing to Ice Age Tylenol. Crushed yarrow leaves for fever. She mixes them in stone bowls with water, fat, and sometimes blood. Her hut smells like dirt and death, but it's also the safest place in a crisis. You sneak a glance at her tools. Bone needles, obsidian flakes, a jawbone carved into something disturbingly like tweezers. It's horrifying and fascinating all at once. Not far from the gathering, you hear another whimper. This one's quieter, younger. A boy, maybe 10 winters old, has burned his hand on a cooking stone. His mother soothes him while the healer wraps his fingers in cool, chewed-up plant pulp. It's not exactly neosporin, but it works. Usually. Your gaze flicks to a bundle on the side. A set of old bones, broken in ways that clearly didn't heal right. One femur curves like a bent tree. Another skull has a gaping crack, unhealed. There are limits, even here. Sometimes the body breaks too hard. Sometimes even the strongest healer can't fix it. But the tribe remembers. Every scar is a story. Every healed wound, a triumph. You once broke a rib falling from a ridge while chasing a goat. The pain? Blinding. The solution? Tie a tight band of hide around your chest, grunt through the weeks, and avoid laughing. You still flinch when the weather changes. Still wear that pain like a ghost inside your bones. Someone brings in a large piece of birch bark. It's been marked, scratched with a pattern of lines, dots, and odd swirls. Not writing exactly, but something. A record? A ritual? Historians still argue whether Neanderthals had a symbolic language or simply liked doodling when bored. The healer peers at it, grunts in approval, then sets it near her herbs. Whatever it means, she gets it. You don't, but that's okay. As the brain surgery survivor finishes his meat, he stands. Slowly, with the help of two others. The firelight catches the ridge of bone around the hole in his skull. He doesn't wobble, doesn't flinch. He just smiles and says something that loosely translates to, "I still owe the mammoth a punch." Everyone laughs. Relief floods the cave like warmth. He's okay. The crowd starts to disperse. The kids scatter, pretending to drill each other's skulls with sticks. You groan. Please don't make that a new game. You head back to your sleeping corner and sit beside Thok. He's poking a lump on his shin and frowning. Think it's infected? He asks. You shrug. Rub some pine sap on it. If it turns purple, scream. Modern medicine may be millennia away, but survival? That's already an art. You lie down again, staring at the dancing firelight. Above you, smoke traces the outline of the cave ceiling, where a few old ochre marks still linger. A handprint, a spiral, a crudely drawn mammoth with comically short legs. You sigh. You've seen a hole in someone's head today, and now you feel weirdly okay about your own splinters and sore knee. Your people are tough. Cursedly, beautifully, stupidly tough. You've seen them bounce back from broken bones, from freezing storms, from the loss of an entire hunting party. You're made from that grit. Still, you're not immune to the fear. What happens when your luck runs out? When the healer's herbs aren't enough? When it's your skull that needs scraping? But for now, you're breathing, and that's everything. The cold this morning is the kind that bites, not nibbles, bites. Like frost has teeth. You breathe out, and it curls into the air like a little ghost. But you're not panicking, because today is dress-up day. You rummage through your corner of the cave, pulling aside dried moss bundles, cracked antlers, and one suspiciously flattened rabbit. Finally, you find it. Your best winter cloak, made from mammoth hide, stitched with sinew and lined with the soft underfur of cave lions, because yes, you're a little extra. You pull it over your shoulders. It smells like dominance and wet dog. But, oh man, it's warm, and the weight of it? Comforting. Like being hugged by the Ice Age itself. Fashion in your time isn't just a flex, it's survival. The better your gear, the better your odds of not freezing to death before you even leave the cave. Sure, you're not strutting a Milan runway, but your look? It's working. Thick hide boots, elk leather leggings, layers of fox fur tied with braided gut cord, and topping it all off, a reindeer antler tiara. Okay, fine, it's a headband. But still, regal. As you cinch the hide belt tight, your neighbor walks by wearing what can only be described as a full yak. No sleeves, no shame. He grunts something about windproof. You nod in admiration. That man is a fashion pioneer. Your people were geniuses with clothing. Sewing needles made from bone, thread made from sinew, dyes pulled from crushed berries, mud, and the occasional beetle. You ever tried threading a needle using just daylight and fingers like sausage links? That's borderline wizardry. But Neanderthals were doing it 40,000 years ago, and looking good while doing it. Historians still argue whether Neanderthal clothing was purely functional or carried symbolic meaning. Like ranks, family, or please don't eat me, were cousins. But when you look at the care taken to decorate some burial garments with shells, beads, or even feathers, you start to get the picture. Fashion mattered. You run your hands over the ochre you smeared on your cheeks earlier. It's dried into a lovely reddish crust. You add a dash more. Cheekbones pop in the firelight. Not that mirrors exist, but reflective water's good enough. Nearby, your aunt is painting spirals on her arms with charcoal. Decorative? Ritual? Protection from spirits? Maybe all three. She hums while doing it. Off-key, but kind of catchy. Then come the accessories. Oh yes. A necklace of wolf teeth, your first big kill. A bracelet of small vertebrae. Gift from a love interest whose name you never could pronounce. A pouch made of vole skin holding a lucky pebble shaped like a toe. It jingles softly as you move, and then, the pièce de résistance? A belt ornamented with flattened copper beads. Not currency, just shiny. You traded for those 2 winters ago from a Homo sapiens caravan. Yeah, you talk to the other guys sometimes. More on them later. You emerge from your dressing nook and strike a pose. Thok looks up, squints, and says, "Too much." You nod proudly. Exactly! There's a small gathering forming outside the cave. Some kind of seasonal meetup. You catch glimpses of other tribes. Strangers. New smells. One guy's wearing dyed blue fur. Blue! You stare. He notices. He nods. It's a vibe. The 2 of you exchange gestures. A hand sweep, a low grunt, a thumb cheek tap. Not language, not quite, but enough. Communication is a dance. A grunt, a glance. And fashion? That's its own language entirely. You join the others, warming by the large communal fire. Someone's brought drums. Log segments hollowed out and stretched with hide. A rhythmic beat starts. People sway. You join in, your reindeer boots crunching snow with every step. Your cloak swirls behind you, heavy and majestic. There's laughter. Someone spills fermented berry mash on their mammoth slippers. Another tries to flirt by offering a necklace of beetle shells. Bold move. A toddler runs past wearing nothing but a squirrel pelt in pure chaos. One of the elders steps forward and places a headdress made of owl feathers on her head. The feathers bob as she speaks, not loud but clear. She tells a story about the first winter, the first snow, the spirit that rode the wind and froze the rivers solid. You've heard it 100 times, but you still lean in. There's always that moment in these gatherings where the firelight catches the beads, the furs, the painted skin, and suddenly everyone looks like walking myth, like something out of a dream, or a memory too old to be real. The gathering winds down and you retreat inside, shedding layers near the fire. Your back itches where the mammoth fur rubbed raw. You lie back, staring up again at the cave ceiling, spotting the old paint stains, the soot trails, the faint scratchings from fingers long dead. Some are abstract. Some show animals, handprints, or the sun. You wonder, did they care how they looked? Were those ochre circles on the walls meant to impress? To warn? To mourn? Historians still argue whether cave art was spiritual, educational, or just some bored teen with access to charcoal. But you? You think it was all of it? You place your wolf-tooth necklace under your head as a pillow. Close your eyes. Feel the weight of your fur cloak like a soft snowdrift over your chest. You looked amazing today. If the saber-tooth had seen you, it would have paused before pouncing, just to admire the fit. It's early. You're up. Not because you're an overachiever, but because someone just tripped over the firewood pile and cursed in 3 different grunts. You blink at the smoky dawn light filtering in, yawn like a thunder god, and stretch until your shoulder joints sound like dry branches snapping. Time to get to work. You shuffle over to the toolkit you've kept tucked into the curve of a fallen stalagmite. It's your pride and joy. A weathered elk hide wrap filled with tools of bone, stone, and flint, each worn smooth from years of use. Tools aren't just useful, they're everything. Without them, you're cold, hungry, and naked. With them, you're an Ice Age legend. You grab your favorite flint blade, the one with the serrated edge like a miniature shark's jaw. It's chipped from a dark volcanic rock you bartered for, 2 fox hides and a handful of dried figs. Worth it. It glints in the firelight like it's been waiting for you. Today's goal, replenish the weapon stash. That means sharpening spears, napping fresh blades, and if you're lucky, finally finishing the bone flute you've been trying to carve for months, but we'll get there. First, the hand axe. You settle cross-legged on a flat stone near the cave entrance. The wind outside roars like it's got something to prove, but you're sheltered here. You select a suitable blank, fist-sized round, with no obvious cracks, and begin the ancient ritual of flint napping. It's part science, part luck, and part screaming internally when it splits the wrong way. One strike. A flake pops off cleanly. Yes, another strike. Chunk too big. You grunt. Thok sits beside you with a collection of spear shafts, whittling one smooth with a sandstone block. The repetition is soothing. Shick, shick, shick. The sound of survival. You pause to check your work. The hand axe is taking shape. Sharp, curved, balanced. Not bad. Not bad at all. You run your thumb along the edge and immediately slice yourself. Classic. You suck the blood from your finger and whisper an affectionate curse at the axe. Still better than Thok's, you mutter. Neanderthal tools weren't basic. Not even close. They were engineered. You used different rocks for different jobs. Flint for cutting, basalt for smashing, quartzite for shaping. And when it came to weapons, oh boy, you got creative. Spears? They weren't just sticks with a point. They were aerodynamic masterpieces, weighted for balance, hardened in fire. Sometimes you even added barbs made of antler or bone. It's not overkill, it's just professional courtesy to your prey. And it wasn't all big, beefy weapons either. You had delicate things too. Awls for piercing leather, scrapers for processing hides, and yes, tiny blades for trimming fingernails or carving those mysterious geometric shapes into your cave wall. Historians still argue whether those marks were proto-language or just Neanderthal doodles. Either way, you're an artist. As the day brightens, others emerge to join the tool club. Your aunt is fixing her sling. The younger kids are practicing tying knots. And the healer? She's carving a new needle from bird bone. Slender, sharp, elegant. You watch her twist sinew thread through the eye, her hands so practiced it looks like a spell. Then there's the trade pouch. A leather bundle tucked deep into the shadows of the cave filled with precious items. Shiny stones, rare shells, an oddly symmetrical fossil. All items with zero practical value, but maximum trade potential. You once traded a single amber bead for 3 flint cores. You still feel like you won that one. Trade wasn't constant, but when tribes crossed paths, usually in spring or early fall, it was like a prehistoric pop-up market. You remember a man with copper spirals woven into his beard. He came from the south, brought salt and strange stories of hairless bipeds with taller skulls and way too many teeth. Homo sapiens. You hadn't met one yet, but you were curious. For now, your work continues. You pull out the half-carved bone flute. It's made from the femur of a wild goose. Hollow, smooth, almost musical on its own. You've drilled 3 holes so far. Just 2 more to go. You raise your flint pick and start scraping carefully. The first hole? Perfect. The second? A little crooked. You blow into it and hear something. Not quite a note. More like the sound of a bored walrus exhaling. Still, progress. You smile. Music, like tools, is part of who you are. It's not frivolous. It keeps rhythm during a hunt, helps pass long winters, soothes children. Some say it even calls the spirits. Historians still argue whether Neanderthals developed instruments independently or borrowed the idea from early Homo sapiens. But you? You know you've been humming to yourself since you had teeth. A child sidles up beside you and stares at the flute. You hand it over. She blows into it. It wheezes like a sleepy badger. She laughs so hard she falls over. Tools made this moment. Tools made you. Later, as the sky turns a deep slate gray, you set your new axe aside, wrap your flute in soft hide, and lean back against the wall. Your hands are nicked, raw, stained with dust and blood, but your heart's full. Outside, the snow picks up. Inside, the fire glows bright. You close your eyes, surrounded by blades, scrapers, needles, and stone. Each one with a story. Each one with your fingerprints. And you think, no matter what else happens, you'll always have this. A sharp edge, a steady hand, and a song, soft and clumsy, on a goosebone flute. It's the full moon tonight, and everything in you itches. Not physically, well, maybe that too, fur pants are brutal, but emotionally. There's something electric in the air, a low drumbeat in your chest. Maybe it's hunger. Maybe it's curiosity. Or maybe it's time to flirt Neanderthal style. You know the drill. You've bathed. Well, stood in a stream for 14 seconds and called it spiritual. You've reapplied your ochre war paint. You've got your necklace of smoothed bones tied tight and your least wormy fur wrap. It's on. You're heading to the communal fire circle. That's where people mingle. Where alliances are forged, meat is shared, and yes, where love, lust, and possibly marriage contracts in the form of tusks change hands. As you approach, the air is thick with the scent of smoked boar and fermented berries. Thok waves you over, already a few sips deep into something murky that smells like mushroom-flavored regret. He's trying to impress someone by wrestling a goat carcass. You give him a supportive nod and turn your attention to more promising prospects. Across the fire, you spot someone. Their face is streaked with gray ash, they've braided feathers into their hair, and they're wearing a bear claw around their neck like it's a Chanel drop. They're chewing on a chunk of smoked marrow with the confidence of someone who knows they could wrestle a saber-tooth and win. You're smitten. You saunter over casually, which, to be fair, is hard when your boots squelch from yesterday's hunt. You grunt a greeting. They grunt back, slightly higher-pitched. Promising. Here's the thing. Neanderthal courtship is subtle. No flowers, no tinder. But gestures? Oh, they mean everything. You reach into your pouch and offer them a polished river pebble shaped, vaguely like a heart. They look at it. Then at you. They accept. Boom. You're basically dating. Around the fire, couples are forming. Some temporary, some more serious. One pair is whispering and tying a strip of sinew between their wrists. A symbolic binding. Others are just play fighting and laughing. Flirting here can involve lightly stabbing someone in the thigh with a sharpened stick. It's romantic, trust me. But love in the Ice Age isn't all giggles and soft furs. There's danger. Not just from predators, but from each other. Remember that time your tribe split off from another after someone accidentally fed someone else's lover to a cave bear? Yeah. Relationships come with risks. There's also rumors. You've heard whispers of a nearby group that, well, eats their enemies. Maybe even they're dead. Maybe even they're lovers if things go badly enough. Historians still argue whether Neanderthals practiced cannibalism out of necessity, ritual, or just plain, it's Thursday and we're out of boar. But you've seen bones. Burned. Cracked for marrow. Teeth marks. So, when your potential flame offers you a bite of their boar skewer, you pause. Just a second, then take it. You're an optimist. You chew thoughtfully. Definitely not human. Probably. The night wears on. The drums begin, steady, slow, like the heartbeat of the cave itself. You join in the dance, circling the fire, your arms loose, hips swaying in time with the rhythm. It's hypnotic. Sensual. Not in a Vegas kind of way. In a, we might survive another winter and I want you near my fire forever kind of way. You and your flame share a look. It's wordless, ancient, electric, and honestly a little awkward. You're sweating. Your fur wrap is crooked. You accidentally kick a rabbit skull into the fire. But they laugh. That's a good sign. You wander away from the fire for a moment, just the two of you, under the stars that blaze like forgotten gods. The moon casts silver across the snowy ridge. You exchange stories, family scars, the time you got chased by a hyena. They counter with a tale of falling through ice and getting rescued by an elk. You believe it, mostly. Then the necklace. You reach up, unclasp the wolf tooth hanging from your throat, and offer it. A sign, an invitation. Not a promise. Just a maybe. They take it, tuck it gently into their belt. You don't say anything more. The silence is the message. Love for your kind isn't flowery poems and rooftop dinners. It's shared shelter. mutual protection. Trust that when the storm comes, and it will come, you'll be there, building the fire, sharing the fat, hunting side by side. Back at the fire, someone is howling, a celebration, or a song, or maybe just showing off. Someone else tries to leap over the flames and immediately regrets it. The laughter rolls through the group like thunder. You sit, shoulder to shoulder, with your almost maybe someday partner. You offer them the last sip from your skin of fermented berries. They take it, make a face, laugh again. You grin. Later, when you crawl into your sleeping nook, you're not alone. They're beside you. Not touching, just near. Sharing the same fur wrap, the same warmth. No declarations, no vows. Just breath and heartbeat and bone. It's not glamorous, but it's real. You drift off, listening to the wind whistle through the rocks, wondering if they'll still be here in the morning. Hoping they will. Because if you've learned one thing, it's that life out here is short, sharp, and full of snow, but nights like this, they keep you going. There's tension in the air this morning. Not the usual "a storm's coming" kind. This is different. The elders are muttering. The dogs, well, mostly wolf companions, are pacing. And the scouts, they came back early. That never happens. You tighten your fur cloak and step outside the cave. The sky is iron gray, low and heavy. There, just across the frozen stream, stand figures. But not your kind. Taller. Leaner. Foreheads less pronounced. Chins a bit sharper. They're wrapped in layered leathers, carrying spears that look too thin to do much damage. And they're standing in neat rows. Not huddled, not chaotic. Like they planned this. Homo sapiens, you've heard stories. Strange travelers from the south. Big foreheads, clever hands, fast feet. People who paint better than you. People who make tools that don't look like they were bashed out in a rage. People who gossip, who build huts out of branches, and now they're standing right there, not 100 paces away. Your gut clenches. No one moves for a long time. Then one of the sapiens steps forward. A woman, tall, hood pulled back, hair braided with what looks like dyed grass. She lifts one hand, open palm, not a threat. You glance at Thok, who grunts. A low one, the "I don't love this" grunt. Still, you mirror her gesture. Palm up, fingers spread. A ripple of murmurs behind you. The clan stirs, but no spears are thrown, not yet. One of your elders steps up beside you. Crooked back, still sharp-eyed. He speaks low. They want something. You nod. Of course they do. That's always how it starts. Historians still argue whether Neanderthals and Homo sapiens met peacefully or violently, but you're living it now, and it feels like a coin spinning in the air. You move forward. One step. Two. Careful not to seem like you're charging. The woman meets you halfway. Her face is expressive. Eyes darting, mouth moving in unfamiliar shapes. She talks fast, even when she doesn't mean to. You catch some of it. The word for fire, for mammoth, for we don't want to die out here. Same, honestly. You gesture toward the cave. Not an invitation, just awareness, your territory, your shelter. She nods, then pulls something from her satchel. It's a stone blade, but not just any stone. It's shaped with precision, thinner than your thumb, with ridges that shimmer slightly. You've never seen craftsmanship like this, not even close. She offers it to you, a gift. You feel eyes on you, your clan watching. This is delicate. You take the blade. Weigh it in your hand. It's beautiful, elegant, deadly, and then you give her something back. Your own hand axe. Rough, brutal, tested, a trade. She accepts. Runs a finger along the edge and smiles, teeth flashing white. Behind her, one of the sapiens pulls out something wrapped in hide. Opens it. Dried berries. Nuts. A sliver of what might be smoked fish. You haven't tasted fish in weeks. You whistle low. A few others from your group step forward. It begins. The sapiens set up a temporary circle near the edge of the stream. No tents, just lean-tos of bent branches and grass mats. Their fire burns hot and clean. Someone's cooking roots in a bowl made of baked clay. What even is that? Thok sits beside you chewing a piece of smoked meat. He whispers, "They smell weird." You nod. "So do we." He snorts. Fair point. Later, you join a small group watching one of the sapiens demonstrate a tool. It's called an atlatl, a throwing stick that hurls spears farther than your strongest arm ever could. You watch, slack-jawed, as the dart flies clean across the stream. The crowd gasps. Then someone asks the obvious. Why? The sapiens guy just grins and shrugs. He mimes standing far away from a mammoth, makes a tiny spear fly, makes a little dead mammoth noise. Okay, that's pretty cool. But there's unease, too. These people move differently. Talk constantly, they don't wait, they don't listen the same way. They build little things that serve big purposes. Ropes that coil without tangling, hooks carved from shell. They even have bags with straps. You feel admiration and something else. Not quite fear, not quite jealousy, something in between. Later that night, back around your own fire, your clan is quiet. The sapiens have gone to sleep, or at least vanished into their little twig huts. You stare at the blade the woman gave you. It's better. Objectively, it's smarter, faster, cleaner, but it's not yours. Your tools are rougher, sure, but they're yours. Born of muscle and trial. Years of smashing rock against rock until the shape emerges. Not delicate, not clever, but earned. And yet, what if there's a better way? Your clan will need to decide to watch, to learn, or not. But deep inside, you already feel the shift. They are coming, maybe not to fight, maybe not yet. But they don't seem like the kind who share caves forever. You crawl into your nook still holding that thin stone blade, wondering, are you the past? Or just the beginning of something else? The wind howls, carrying both fire smoke and foreign words. And you sleep with one eye half open. You wake to the smell of damp fur and burnt marrow. Again. But something's different. A softness in the air. A stillness that feels cozy. You're home. Not just in the general area home. Like actually home. Your cave. The one you know like the back of your soot-covered hand. And today it's feeling kind of luxurious. You sit up and look around. The fire's still glowing gently in its stone cradle. Smoke rises through a crevice overhead, painting lazy shadows across the ceiling. It's warm, quiet, and there's no immediate threat of being eaten. That's basically a 5 stars in Ice Age Airbnb. Your space, your corner of this ancient limestone sanctuary, is cluttered, but in a personal way. Your fur pile is arranged just the way you like it, layered for maximum insulation with the softest patches of fox and rabbit. Your stone tools sit within reach, arranged in a neat arc around a flat rock that serves as your catch-all table/dinner plate. There's a little collection of bones on the ledge, each carved with notches. Not for counting, but remembering. One for each winter survived. One for the boar that nearly gored you. One for that moment by the river with the person who wore owl feathers and smiled like spring. You don't carve new ones often. When you do, it matters. This is your cave. And caves are underrated. They're dry, solid, climate controlled by the earth itself. You don't need a mortgage. Just don't pick one with a saber-toothed leaseholder. You shuffle to the front and peek out. Snow. Again. But it's light today. Powdery and clean. A few flakes drift in, land on your eyelashes. The world outside looks like it's been dusted with powdered bone. Inside, though, it's your world. Every nook has a purpose. That dip near the wall? It's where water pools after heavy snow, like your own private spring. That scorched black mark? From the time you accidentally lit an entire elk pelt on fire? You still smell it sometimes. The ceiling above is tattooed with memories. Handprints in ochre, faded spirals, smears of ash and dreams. Historians still argue whether these marks were early storytelling or just Ice Age graffiti. But you know the truth? They're echoes of laughter, fear, celebration, of people like you trying to make the inside of a rock feel like a heartbeat. A few others are waking. One of the elders coughs, dry and deep, but familiar. He's survived more winters than anyone else. His corner is decorated with eagle feathers and carved stones that rattle softly when the wind shifts. He's not a shaman exactly, but if the cave has a memory, he's its librarian. A child scampers past you, dragging a mammoth bone twice their size. You watch as they add it to the growing fort near the back wall, a pile of debris, hides, and what appears to be someone's missing sandal. You smile. Even in the Ice Age, kids build forts. Thok stirs in his corner, groans loudly, and rolls over, taking most of the communal bear fur with him. You throw a pebble at his back. He grunts but doesn't move. There's comfort in this space, in knowing which rock will stab you if you roll left instead of right, in recognizing every shadow like an old friend. Still, it's not perfect. There's the smell, for one. A mix of smoke, old meat, sweat, and something probably rotting under the sleeping mats. It's intense. But also, yours. Like cave cologne. And then there's the badger. You forgot about the badger. It lives in a crevice behind the fire pit. Has for months. You've named it Sorrow because that's what it brings. It doesn't attack unless provoked, but sometimes it stares at you. Just stares. With judgment in its eyes, you try not to make direct eye contact. Today, though, it's mercifully silent. You make your way toward the rear of the cave. This area is quieter, cooler. You keep your stash here. Bone needles, rare feathers, the jawbone of that weird deer with the extra antlers. Also your flute. Still terrible. Still your favorite. You pluck a few herbs from a woven pouch and toss them into a cracked stone bowl. Add water, a hot coal, and breathe in the steam. It smells sharp and green, like medicine in spring. Others gather slowly. There's a rhythm to cave mornings. Grunting greetings, slapping out furs, poking at the fire. Someone sings a low, wordless tune as they cook. The walls catch the sound and send it bouncing softly like a lullaby made of stone. You take a moment to step outside again. Let the cold slap your face awake. And there, on the ridge, tracks. Not human. Big, wide, deep. You squint. Probably mammoth. Possibly bear. Definitely someone's problem by tomorrow. You sigh. Home is cozy, but the world still wild. You turn back to the cave. To the fire. To the people shifting into their daily rituals. There's comfort in the repetition, in the hum of survival. You add a new notch to your bone tally. Because today, you're still here. Still warm. Still surrounded by smoke and fur and the occasional terrifying rodent. And when night comes again, when the cold creeps in and the fire dances shadows on the walls, you'll curl into your pile of hides, press your hand against your favorite stone, and sleep knowing. This cave remembers you. You're bundled tight this morning. Every inch of skin swaddled in hide, fur, or wishful thinking. Because today is Blizzard Day. Outside, the wind howls like 1,000 angry mammoths in therapy. Snow is falling sideways. The world has turned into a shaken snow globe, and you, lucky you, are about to go out in it. Why? Because food doesn't gather itself, and you're out of dried mushrooms, and also because Thok dared you. And if there's one thing worse than frostbite, it's Thok's smug face when he wins a dare. You prepare methodically. Double-hide boots, layered leggings, 2 cloaks, the inner one for warmth, the outer one for courage. You tie a strip of leather around your forehead to keep the snow from stinging your eyes. You're ready. Or at least stubborn. You step outside and immediately regret it. The cold punches you, not politely, not a chill, a full-on uppercut to the soul. Your nose freezes mid-inhale. Your eyelashes stick together. Your inner organs shrink back like, no thanks, we'll stay inside today. Still, you push forward. Every step is work. Your boots sink into powder that hides rocks, ice patches, and ancient regrets. The wind shrieks past your ears, lifting your fur like a ghost hand. Visibility? You can see roughly 3 feet. After that, it's just whiteness and danger. You press on toward the river bend, where the mushrooms usually grow, hugging the leeward side of a rocky outcrop. You're walking sideways now, leaning against the gusts like you're trying to push back time. Historians still argue whether Neanderthals had cultural rituals around weather, or if they just cursed at the sky and moved on. Based on your current feelings, it's definitely the latter. You slip once, twice, then your foot punches through an icy crust into frigid water. Your brain short-circuits. You scream. Just a little. The cold water creeps up your leg like betrayal. You yank yourself out and hobble to a sheltered nook to regroup. It's there you see them. Tiny brown caps peeking through the snow-dusted bark. Mushrooms. Glorious, frost-kissed, probably not poisonous mushrooms. You gather them quickly, stuffing them into your pouch with trembling fingers. Success. Victory. A warm meal tonight that doesn't involve chewing on old hide strips. But now, getting home. The wind's even worse now, like it heard you talking trash earlier and came back with backup. Snow slaps your face sideways. You can't see your own hand stretched out. Every breath hurts. You pause, heart hammering. You know this land like your own scarred palms, but today it's foreign, hostile. It wants you lost. You crouch trying to get your bearings. A familiar stump? Number. Just a rock that wants to be a stump. The ridgeline? Gone. A blur of gray and white. For a flickering moment, panic creeps in, but you shake it off. You are Neanderthal. You are thick-skulled and double-lunged, and you've survived worse. You squint into the wind, then drop low, crawling now, following the snow-packed ground, letting instinct guide you. Then, relief. A shadow. A curve of stone. A trail of smoke swirling where it shouldn't be. Your cave. You limp the last stretch, snow caked into every crease of your clothes, skin red and raw. You burst through the entrance like a hero from a myth, clutching your mushroom pouch and gasping like a fish in a sauna. Thok looks up, unimpressed. You took your time. You don't answer. Just toss the pouch at him and collapse by the fire. Others rush in, unwrapping your layers, pressing warm skins to your limbs. Someone hands you a heated stone to grip. Someone else offers soup made from last night's horse bones. You sip, and the heat spreads through you, like a memory of summer. That was close. Too close. But you made it. After a while, you begin to feel your fingers again. Your heart stops trying to flee your chest. The room slows down. You listen to the crackle of the fire, the whistle of wind through the stone cracks, and the soft hum of someone humming an old lullaby. You lie back, eyes fluttering shut, and in that half-awake haze you think, the Ice Age is a cruel, beautiful monster. It tests you, breaks you, rebuilds you, and sometimes it gives you mushrooms. Your fingers are still tingling from yesterday's ice bath when you hear it. A soft, rhythmic thudding, echoing from deeper in the cave. Not the stomping of feet, not the chopping of bone. It's music. Well, sort of. You shuffle toward the sound, shoulders still wrapped in a half-damp fur, and find the source. A hollow log suspended between 2 stones, being thumped rhythmically with a carved femur. The young boy responsible looks up as you approach. He grins, gaps in his teeth and all, and gestures for you to join in. You do. You grab a stone and start tapping on a nearby stalactite. Ding, ding, dong. It sounds terrible, but it feels great. That's the thing about music in your world. It's not about perfection. It's about rhythm, breath, the thrum in your bones that makes you feel less alone. You're not trying to impress anyone. You're just syncing up with the heartbeat of the cave. More people join. Someone whistles, badly. Someone else shakes a pouch of dried seeds like a rattle. Before long, the place is pulsing with a primal groove, loose and hypnotic. You lose yourself in the sound, your sore hands still drumming even after your mind drifts. This is ancient. Deeper than language, deeper than thought. You don't know what it means, but you feel it. Historians still argue whether Neanderthal music was symbolic, spiritual, or just to keep boredom at bay. But you know the truth. It's all of it. It's comfort. It's communication. It's a way to say, we are here without needing words. Later, the music fades into silence, and everyone relaxes like they've just returned from a long walk. That boy, the femur drummer, grabs a piece of charcoal and starts scratching at the wall. You watch closely. He's drawing crude lines, yes, but deliberate. A pair of antlers, a circle. Something that could be a river or a snake. A dot for each clan member, maybe. Or maybe just because he likes dots. You ask him what it means. He shrugs and keeps drawing. That's cave art for you. Sometimes it's a story, sometimes it's a memory, sometimes it's just art. You've made a few yourself. Not good ones. You once spent 3 hours scratching out what was supposed to be a mammoth, but ended up looking like a melting goat. Still, you were proud of it. You run your hand along one of the older walls. This one's different. Smudged layers, overlapping symbols, old and faint. You can't tell what most of it means anymore, but one symbol always stands out. A spiral. It appears again and again. In ochre, in ash, in etched bone. What does it mean? Historians still argue. Some say it represents the sun, or life, or the cycles of seasons. Some say it's just a doodle, but deep in your gut, you feel like it means something important. Something big. Something sacred. You remember your first time drawing on the wall. You were barely taller than the firewood stack. You dipped your fingers in ochre and pressed them to the stone. Your handprint is still there. Smaller than your palm now, but unmistakably yours. A fossil of you, waiting for someone else to wonder who you were. You smile at it every time you pass. And then there are the stories. Your clan's oral history is rich, wild, and about 40% nonsense. Elders tell tales by firelight, blending memory with myth until nobody knows what's real anymore. Like the tale of the woman who painted with elk blood and vanished into the wall, or the boy who could sing so sweetly that mammoths stopped charging to listen, or the time the moon fell into the river and had to be pulled out with spears. You've heard them all, and still, you listen, because stories matter. They explain the unexplainable. They wrap fear in metaphor and bind generations with laughter. You once laughed so hard at a story about a farting bear spirit that you nearly fell into the fire pit. Worth it. You lie back now, staring at the ceiling where soot shadows swirl like ghost birds. You hum the rhythm from earlier, tapping it against your chest. A heartbeat shared, a memory made. Someone passes by, handing you a piece of soft bark with tiny scratches on it. No one knows what it means. Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. You tuck it under your fur anyway. Keepsake. You grab your old bone flute, the one you've been shaping for weeks. You blow into it. It wheezes like an asthmatic duck. You laugh, try again. This time, it makes a note. High, clear, lonely. You grin. Progress. The cave is quiet now. Just the sound of the wind outside, the occasional snore, and your flute's whisper echoing back to you. You close your eyes, thinking about the spiral, the rhythm, the drawings, the stories. All the ways your people say, we were here. And even if someday the snow buries your cave, and the stone collapses, and the wind erases your name, your song will still echo. Your handprint will still rest on the wall. You will still be known. Something's wrong. It starts with silence. Not the peaceful kind. Not the quiet of fresh snow or sleeping wolves. No, this silence is vacuumed, pressurized, like the world is holding its breath. You sit up in your fur pile, every hair on your body standing at attention. Others are already awake, eyes wide, mouths tight. You exchange looks, the badger's gone. Even it knows. Then comes the rumble. Soft at first, a distant growl beneath the earth. You feel it through your bones, not your ears. The fire pit rocks ever so slightly. A stone tumbles from a shelf. Then another, then boom! The cave shakes, a roar so deep it feels ancient, like the land itself is waking up angry. You stumble toward the mouth of the cave as others scramble, pulling children close, shouting to each other in clipped grunts and whistles. Outside, the sky is wrong. Smoke. Thick black rolling in from the east like a storm made of ash. The air tastes of sulfur. Bitter, metallic, alive. You squint across the valley and your heart drops into your knees. The mountain. The one beyond the river. The one you always assumed was just there. Solid. Silent. It's erupting. A pillar of smoke shoots skyward, turning day into twilight. Fire licks the sky like angry paint. You've seen wildfires before, seen storms. But this is new. This is the gods sneezing directly onto your continent levels of terrifying. You retreat into the cave, yelling for Thok, for the elders, for anyone still dazed. You scoop up your pouch, your spear, your most sentimental wolf tooth, and turn to the others. We have to move. Not tomorrow, not after breakfast. Now you don't wait for debate. You just go. Outside, ash is already falling, soft, gray flakes that look like snow but sting like regret. You tie a strip of fur around your nose and mouth, then grab the smallest child barely out of the womb. His mother nods gratefully and joins the line forming along the rocky trail. Your tribe moves fast. You've trained for winters, for hunts, for predators. But this is different. You're not fighting, you're fleeing. And that is scarier. Behind you, the sky glows orange. The mountain groans again. A low thunder cracks through the forest, and suddenly birds, hundreds, burst from the trees, screaming like sirens. A deer sprints past you, completely ignoring your existence. Even nature has hit the panic button. You keep moving, step after step. You're not sure where you're going, but anywhere that isn't on fire seems like a solid plan. The wind shifts. Ash thickens. Breathing gets harder. You help Thok carry the elder, who's coughing violently now, face streaked with soot. His voice rasps. This happened before? I was small. You stare. You remember? He nods weakly. Other tribe? South Cave. Didn't run. Your heart twists. That cave. The one you used to visit once a year. Shared mammoth feasts. Told jokes. Left gifts. Gone. Swallowed. The realization hits you mid-step. They didn't make it. You saw smoke 2 days ago, thought it was strange, but not that strange. They're gone. All of them. No one said goodbye. You want to scream, but the air is too thick. So you keep walking. Hours pass, or maybe minutes. Time is stretchy when the sky's falling. Eventually, the forest opens to a rocky bluff. It's high ground. You pause, look back. The mountain glows like a coal in the belly of the world. Lightning flashes through the ash cloud. The valley you knew, rivers, trees, trails, is buried in a slow-moving wave of darkness. You're not going back there. Ever. The clan collapses into an exhausted heap. Coughing, crying, breathing like it's a luxury. You sit beside Thok. He stares at the horizon, face smudged with ash, eyes blank. We lost it, he murmurs. Our cave. Everything. You nod slowly. Not everything. You touch your pouch. Inside, your tools, your carved bone tally, your bone flute. The spiral rock, a folded bit of dyed hide, gifted to you by Owl Feather, the maybe lover who left 2 moons ago with a sapient group. You're still here. Not all your people made it. Some are missing, maybe crushed, maybe lost. But most, alive. And that matters. The tribe lights a small fire, just enough to warm hands. No one speaks much. The kids cling to parents. The healer grinds herbs in silence. One of the younger hunters places a cracked shell near the flames. An offering. A prayer, maybe. Historians still argue whether Neanderthals believed in gods, spirits, or just really bad luck. But tonight, under an ash-choked sky, it's hard not to believe in something bigger. You sit quietly and pull out your flute. You play. Not well. Not even close. But it makes a sound. High, thin, trembling. It echoes into the black. Others listen. No one says anything, but their breathing slows. The wind doesn't stop. The ash doesn't stop. But for one heartbeat, there is music. And that, you think, is the beginning of home. Not the cave, not the fire, but the people around it. The air still smells like soot, but the sky has softened, from nightmare to overcast. It's been 3 days since the eruption, and you've started to call this new camp not too bad place. It's not perfect. You miss the curve of your old cave, the way the smoke drifted just right, the familiar creak of the rocks settling at night. But here, on a high slope surrounded by boulders and a trickling stream, you're rebuilding. And you're not alone. You glance down at the bundle in your arms. Heavy, loud, wiggly. It's your daughter. Your little mammoth of a toddler, all pudgy fists and fuzzy brow ridges, squirming in her moss-lined wrap like she's auditioning for an Ice Age wrestling team. She's teething on a piece of deer antler and drooling enough to water the grass. Welcome to Paleo Parenting 101. Raising a Neanderthal kid is like raising a tiny hurricane with emotional attachment issues. They're strong, absurdly strong for their size. Curious, loud, constantly trying to put rocks in their mouth, and you love her more than your spear. You shift her to your hip and start the morning routine. First stop, letting her help with water collection, which really just means watching her splash gleefully in the stream while you try to keep her from diving in head first. You remember when she was born. 1 blizzard, 2 screaming nights, and a midwife who barked instructions like she was summoning lightning. You nearly fainted. Thok did faint. The healer slapped him with a wet hide, and when your daughter emerged red-faced and wailing, you cried. Because she was perfect and terrifying. Since then, it's been a whirlwind of learning. You've become an expert in moss diapering, squirrel distracting, and the exact threat level of every plant within a 10-mile radius. You've also developed an instinct for the silent pause. The moment your child disappears and you know she's about to throw a lizard into the soup. She's walking now. Sort of. More like chaotic tumbling. She follows the older kids like a puppy, mimicking spear throws with sticks, yelling at imaginary wolves, and proudly presenting you with rocks shaped like mammoth poop. You accept each one like it's a sacred gift, because it is. Children are rare, precious. Your people don't have the numbers to take them for granted. Every child who survives past their second winter is a miracle, and also kind of a menace. Today, you're teaching her to spot mammoth tracks. You squat beside a patch of trampled grass and point to the giant oval impressions. She squints, points in the completely opposite direction and screams, "Baba!" Close enough. You laugh and scoop her up, twirling her until she squeals. The other parents glance over, smiling. Everyone's got their hands full, some with infants strapped to backs, others leading tiny herds of 3 to 5-year-olds who treat mud like currency. Parenting for Neanderthals is a community sport. There's no nuclear family here. You're all tangled together in one big, chaotic net of survival and snotty noses. Elders teach stories. Teenagers teach games. Healers kiss bruises and explain which mushrooms are no fun time. You all do your part. At night, you wrap your daughter in a softened deer hide and rock her by the fire. She fights sleep like a tiny gladiator. You hum low songs. Nonsense sounds passed down from before memory. Her fingers grip your necklace. Her breathing slows. You think about the world she's growing into. Less cave, more chaos, but maybe more connected too. You'll teach her the old ways, how to make tools, how to listen to wind, how to tell if a wolf is bluffing. But also the new, the ways of the Homo sapiens, their finer tools, their fire-hardened ropes and clever nets. The way they make traps that don't need muscle, just patience and engineering. Historians still argue whether Neanderthal children were raised differently than Homo sapiens. Whether play and imagination were valued, or if it was just eat, walk, hunt, repeat. You've watched your child feed a pine cone to a rock and then yell at it for not eating. You think play is very much alive, and maybe that's what will keep your people going. Not just big muscles and good spears, but the ability to laugh, to imagine, to tell a story about why the moon hides when it's sad or how mammoths secretly wear hats at night. These kids, they'll build the next home. Later, you sit near the fire, your daughter snoring softly in your lap. You watch Thok teaching a group of boys how to gut a fish without losing a finger. One girl is practicing her rock throws on a tree stump, and she's scary good. You close your eyes. The fire crackles. You see her grown, strong, loud, fearless. Maybe leading, maybe teaching, maybe carving spirals into a new cave wall. She won't remember the volcano, the ash, the loss, but she'll remember this. You home, and the warmth of a fire that never quite went out. It's late afternoon when someone yells, "Don't eat that!" You freeze mid-bite. You were chewing on a small, strange-looking mushroom Thok handed you just moments ago. It was purple, kind of shiny, smelled like wet goat and secrets. But hey, you've eaten worse. Then the healer charges over, grabs the remaining mushrooms from Thok's pouch, sniffs one, and promptly chucks the whole bundle off a cliff. You look at Thok. He looks at you. You both realize you may be in for a weird night. Let's rewind. Earlier, you'd been foraging in the mossy glades beyond the new camp. The sun was peeking through the gray sky, birds were chirping, and spirits were finally feeling lighter. Spring, maybe? Or at least slightly less dead winter. Thok spotted a cluster of mushrooms tucked under a rotting log. "Looks tasty," he said. You, trusting him for reasons that remain unclear, agreed. To be fair, mushroom gathering is high-stakes gambling. Some are delicious, some are deadly, and some send you on a one-way journey to the spirit realm, screaming about floating mammoths and dancing saber-toothed rabbits. Guess which kind these were? About 20 minutes after the bite, it starts. Your fingertips tingle, not cold, electric. Like your skin is humming, your pupils dilate. You suddenly understand what Moss is feeling. Thok is staring at his own hands like they've betrayed him. Why are my fingers so long? They're not. Yes, they are. Look, they're like tree worms. You burst out laughing. Then hiccup. Then realize your legs no longer remember how walking works. Someone tries to guide you toward the fire circle. You insist on crawling dramatically through the grass, narrating your own journey as the great migration of the dirt people. Others are gathering, equal parts concerned and amused. One of the elders mutters about another mushroom incident. Apparently this is not the first time someone's tried to eat the spirit cap. You are in this moment the village fool. But you feel like a god. You begin to chant a made-up song about mammoths who wear boots and sing lullabies. A few children join in. One adds hand gestures. This will probably become an actual ritual if you're not stopped. Then it happens. You see it. Not with your eyes necessarily, but there it is. A giant mammoth. Floating in the sky, spinning slowly, wearing a crown made of fire and whispering in a language made entirely of sneezes. It stares at you and winks. You giggle uncontrollably and shout, "The fluffy king knows!" Someone, maybe Thok, has climbed halfway up a pine tree, insisting he needs to apologize to the moon. The healer pinches the bridge of her nose, hands you a pouch of crushed herbs, and tells you to chew it before your brain floats away entirely. You chew it. It tastes like mud and disappointment. Eventually, the chaos subsides. You're lying on your back, wrapped in a fur blanket, head spinning in the good, bad way. The stars swirl, the air feels soft. Everything is quiet again, but in that too quiet way where even your breath sounds suspicious. Thok lies beside you, face down in the grass. I still hear the worms singing. Good for them, you whisper. He groans. You both fall asleep. The next morning, you awake to a pounding headache, a dry mouth, and a haunting memory of proposing marriage to a pine cone. You sit up slowly, trying to remember which parts were dreams and which were deeply unfortunate reality. Thok trudges into camp holding 2 fish and a look of pure shame. You nod solemnly. We never speak of this. Speak of what? Exactly. He dropped the fish. As the day rolls on, the tribe gets back to normal, but the giggles from the kids mimicking your mammoth song suggest your legacy is secured. You help with the morning chores, grateful to be vertical. As you gather firewood, one of the younger teens grins at you and says, "The Fluffy King sends his regards." You groan. This is your life now. Still, there's a strange kind of peace in the aftermath. You feel cleared out. Like the spirits grabbed your brain, shook it like a snow globe, and set it gently back down. You're not spiritual, not exactly. But sometimes when your heart feels too heavy, it takes a hallucinogenic fungus and a night of chaos to remind you that you're just a creature in a world full of noise, dreams, and floating mammoths. And honestly, you've had worse evenings. The sky is overcast today, not with ash this time, but with a gray so soft it feels like the world is whispering. Everything is still. Even the wind seems to pause as if holding its breath in reverence. You wake slower than usual. Your body aches, not the sharp kind, but that deep, dull heaviness you get when something is about to happen. And you already know what it is. Someone has died. You feel it before anyone speaks. The silence tells you the stillness. The way the fire hasn't been stoked. No morning songs. No children laughing. Just the quiet hum of grief waiting to become sound. You sit up, blinking into the dim light. Across the clearing, you see them. A small group gathered around a figure wrapped tightly in layers of hide and fur. You don't need to ask who it is. You already know. It's the elder, the memory keeper, the cave's librarian. He passed quietly in the night, surrounded by warmth, breath fading between one story and the next. No one cries. Not right away. In your world, grief comes in waves, sometimes howling, sometimes just a tightness behind your eyes. Instead, you begin the ritual. Everyone has a role. You and Thok are chosen to prepare the body. You nod without speaking. This is important. Sacred. No jokes, no mistakes. You approach the wrapped form and kneel. Carefully, respectfully, you brush snow from the hide, straighten the bindings, and lift. He's lighter than you expected. It doesn't feel right. He's supposed to be here, shouting corrections during story circles, falling asleep mid-sentence, arguing that a certain spiral was definitely about mammoth mating seasons. You didn't always agree, but you always listened. You carry him to the edge of the bluff. The tribe follows behind, silent. This is where he wanted to go. A wind-swept ledge above the forest, where the river below snakes through the trees like a memory too long to hold. He always said this spot reminded him of his first hunt, his first kiss, his first fire. You lay him down gently. Someone begins to hum. Others join. It's not a song with words, just sound, vibration, breath. The kind that goes deep into your ribs and stays there. Then come the offerings. Someone places a carved stone wolf by his side. Someone else lays down a pouch of dried berries, his favorite snack. You pull the old spiral stone from your pouch and place it in his hand. He once told you it symbolized the path of time, that it wasn't linear but coiling, always returning, always echoing. You didn't fully understand, but you do now. The healer steps forward, raises a burning branch, and lights a small pile of sweetgrass and pine. Smoke curls into the air like spirit threads. You all inhale together. Then you feast, because that's part of it too. You gather around a fire, roast meat, share marrow bones. You eat with him one last time. And you tell stories. Not about hunting or war, but the funny ones. The time he mistook bear tracks for his own. The time he tried to woo a woman by juggling pine cones and dropped one on his own foot. You laugh. You cry too, but mostly you laugh. Historians still argue whether Neanderthals had funerals in the symbolic sense, or if they simply buried the dead for practical reasons. But here now, there's no doubt. This is ritual. This is love. You sit beside Thok later, watching the fire burn low. He's quiet for a long time, then softly. He remembered all our names. You nod. Even the ones who didn't make it. Silence stretches again. Then a new voice, your daughter, toddling over, wide-eyed. She climbs into your lap, rests her head on your chest. You kiss the top of her head and whisper something only she can hear. He's part of the mountain now. Later that night, you dream. You're standing on the bluff. He's beside you. He's younger, laughing, holding that same carved wolf. He points to the sky and says, "Keep walking." You wake with tears in your eyes and the fire still warm beside you. In the morning, you return to the bluff. He's gone. The snow has covered him gently like a blanket. The spiral stone still rests at the base of the cairn. You touch it once, then leave it there. Some echoes aren't meant to be carried. They're meant to ring forever. The snow melts slower this year. Spring tries to arrive, timidly like a bird landing on uncertain ice, but the cold clings. Still, signs of change creep in around the edges. Buds peek from frozen soil. Birds call in higher tones. The river begins to babble again instead of growl, and something in you shifts too. You've felt it building for weeks. A tension behind your ribs. A pull toward elsewhere. Not fear, not urgency. Just a question that hums louder each morning. Where did we go? Not you specifically. You're still here, scraping hides, building traps, teaching your daughter how not to eat caterpillars, but something is changing. In the tribe, in the land, in the air itself. And it doesn't feel like something you can stop. The Homo sapiens returned last week. A different group, but familiar eyes. They came with better tools, tighter speech patterns, and children who already knew how to make fire from nothing but friction and attitude. You shared a meal, traded beads. Your daughter followed their kids like a duckling, mimicking their strange, half-sing-song language. She's good at it, better than you. You pretend not to notice. They invited you to travel with them. South. Warmer lands. Bigger groups. New caves with paintings that move your heart in ways you can't explain. You said you'd think about it, but deep down, you know, something is ending. Your people are fewer now. Not because of war. Not because of weakness. You're strong. You're brilliant. You survived volcanic winter and bear attacks and that one regrettable mushroom episode. But the world is moving forward, and maybe you're not meant to follow. Historians still argue why Neanderthals disappeared. Was it competition, interbreeding, disease? Or did you simply fade, absorbed into something new? You lean against a tree, watch the kids play. Yours is leading them now, organizing a game that involves mud, shouting, and an alarming number of pine cones. Her laugh sounds like sunlight through smoke. Maybe you didn't vanish. Maybe you became something. You think of that spiral again. Time doesn't end. It loops. And you were never meant to be the whole story. You were the prologue. You gather the clan for a final circle, not a farewell, just a truth sharing. You speak simply. The world is changing. You can stay and survive for a while, or you can walk forward into the unknown. Some want to stay, but many choose to go. You don't stop them, you just nod. The next day you pack your tools. Your daughter packs her pine cones. You set off, not south, not north, just onward, through the trees, through the hush of new wind, through the last breath of the Neanderthal world. You walk with your head high, feet steady, memory long. You are not extinct, you are remembered. In the tools still buried beneath soil, in the ochre still clinging to cave walls, in the spiral, in the fire, in the blood. You were never just survival. You were song, you were story. You were the ones who whispered first in the dark. And though your name may fade, your echo never will. Now. Let that image rest in your mind a moment longer. The fire low, casting gold across fir and stone. Your tribe asleep, peaceful, huddled close, their breath sinking with yours in the rhythm of deep rest. The world outside still shifts, still spins, still stirs with the tides of time. But here, in this place, in this warmth, you're safe. You are held in the arms of the ancestors. Your stories etched into stone. Your songs floating gently through the trees. Every handprint on every cave wall still reaching through the ages. Soft reminders that you were here, that you mattered. Let your breath match that rhythm now. In and out. In and out. The crackling of a fire, distant now, becomes the white noise of memory. The forest hush becomes your lullaby. The stars blink overhead just as they did 10,000 years ago. Just as they always will. And you rest. Not as a relic, but as a soul carved deep into the bones of time. The mammoths have moved on. The spirits have quieted, and the wind carries only peace. Sleep now, little hunter. Sleep, maker of tools, keeper of songs, carrier of flame. You are not forgotten, you never will be. Good night.